for the Empowering You Show. This is a lively television show that is a driving force to positive transformation in every viewer's life. Our goal is simple. It is to elevate our audience members with clear, practical, helpful advice and engaging activities. We're here dedicated to sparking a journey of self-growth and empowerment, making sure each episode is a step towards professional and personal achievement. That's how we empower you on the Empowering You Show. So get ready, it's time. Hey, it is a beautiful day. Yes, I am so bright. I had to wear my own sunglasses. Welcome to the Empowering You Show, where we are here every Thursday to empower. Let me take these glasses off. Empower you with people in the community that are doing great things. Today's no different. We are here elevating others, showcasing those people in the community that are not only doing great things, but they may be small businesses and they need exposure. Today we have a phenomenal guest. But before I bring up our guest, she's so bright. Let me put my sunglasses back on. I want to bring you the sidekick of the show, the sexy, sassy, oh so smart, yet spicy, Shani Smith.
Well, hey, it's another Thursday, and I love this idea, okay? I think the next time I'm at an event, I might just walk in with my sunglasses on, regardless of the time of the day, and say the same thing. I love it. I love it.
So I had to figure out, I love sunglasses. I have all kinds. I had to figure out which sunglasses went well with, the outfit. So the blue, you can't see, but the blue and the yellow. Okay. Anyway, excited. So many things are going on. We are training next week for Welfare to Work, helping some ladies understand that there's more to life than social assistance. Then in the same week, we'll be training with Virginia Peninsula Community College, Welfare to Work. We will be training with Small Business Supplier Diversity, SBSD, representing your brand, how to get yourself out there marketing-wise to speak your language in a way that people understand exactly what you do. If you're in the 757, you might want to drop by downtown Hampton, 1 Franklin Street. Then on Friday, we are going to be helping the Peninsula Alcohol Safety Action Program, PASAP, with their staff training. So a lot going on this week, but more importantly, we have a guest that's going to bring the house down. I met her a few weeks ago, and we hit it off like peanut butter and jelly. So without further ado, let me introduce you to a seasoned legal professional with an extensive experience in public and private service. Over the past 5 years, she served as a prosecutor for the Commonwealth of Virginia, specializing in major and violent crimes. Prior to her time there in public service, she dedicated, what the world is that? I don't know what that is. Excuse me 1 second. Hang up. Okay, so prior to her time in public service, she dedicated her career to indigenous. I can't think again. Stop in a minute. Skype. Who's calling me on Skype? Okay. I don't want to take anything away from this powerful presentation. So, yes, we're live, and yes, stuff happens, and it just did. But over the past 5 years, she served as a prosecutor for the Commonwealth of Virginia, specializing in major and violent crimes. But prior to her time in public service, she dedicated her early career to indigenous defense work and family law, showcasing her commitment to effective legal advocacy. She holds a bachelor's degree in arts, psychology from Northwestern University, and a Juris Doctorate from the Marshall Wythe School of Law at the College of William and Mary. In her free time, she enjoys supporting her alma mater, Northwestern University, during football season, and engaging in community service with her fellow members of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She has a diverse background, but she has an unwavering dedication to legal advocacy. She's well equipped to provide expert legal counsel and representation to all of her clients. Help me bring to the platform Pia J. Miller.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you.
Super excited that you're here.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to start with how we met and what happened in that moment. And then we're going to talk about how you started law.
Okay.
So how we met.
Well, my version of events. So I recently, or about a year ago, restarted my private practice. I'm a solo practitioner. And one of the things I told myself is, Pia, you have to get out of the spaces that you know more. You got to start going to more, Chamber of Commerce type events, other business networking events. And so I had signed up for this Chamber of Commerce event and wasn't really sure what I was signing up for, but I was just like, Pia, we're going to get out here. We're going to meet different people. And so I went. And, I'm in the room, and it's a very, it's not a very diverse room, for lack of a better way to put it.
I think
And
I
I-
understand.
Yeah. And I turn around and, I'm getting my plate of food because I'm always going to eat. And this lovely lady just says, hey, how you doing? And it's the only other person who kind of looks like me. And it happened to be Miss Barbara H. Smith. And she just said, hey, I'm Barbara and this is what I do. And we just literally hit it off from there. I mean, we sat in that room and we talked to other people, but we always kept coming back to each other. And so to know that she was kind of a safe space in that moment, and she mentioned that this was also her first, chamber event that she had gone to. And we were just in there as two outsiders, literally.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
just truly two outsiders. But we made it work. And so here we are.
Nobody talked to us. Like
No
one
one.
guy, a room full of people, nobody
Mhm.
spoke to us. And I walked away from Pia for a minute because I didn't want it to seem obvious that we were congregating with each other. And I walk away and come back and I'm like, did anybody come talk to you? And she's like, you. And we chuckled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what is this
Right.
about? And then she left out the part that we were standing at, those high bar table
Mhm.
situation furniture, and they were mingling for 45 minutes. No agenda, no, we're going to do this next. We got 15 minutes, nothing. So
Nothing.
I'm saying to myself, we've been standing here for 45 minutes. And she was so polite. She didn't want to just like leave. I said, well, I'm leaving. She says, well, I'm following you. I said, well, do what you do. Because I'm leaving. I'm not going to stand around for this. And so the ladies were standing there at the door. And as we walking out, I said, have a nice day. They said, bye. Did they say bye?
Yeah. They did. They
didn't
did. They
say
hit us
hi?
with a
They didn't say hello. They just said bye.
yeah. Because to add into that, I actually didn't get a name tag when I checked in. They were just like,
Neither did
oh, okay,
I.
your name's on the list. And then as we started moving around, we saw other people with name tags. I was like, oh, let me go back to the check-in table. And they were like, oh yeah,
You didn't want to know my name in the beginning. You don't need to know it now.
yeah, it was
So
weird. It was weird. But we persevered.
And this wonderful relationship blossom. I do want to say hello to English 7 out there from the UK. Thank you for watching.
Yay!
Hey.
Yay! So
Awesome.
it was so interesting that we just gravitated to each other and then really clicked. And so I want you to tell us now. Thank you so much, Pia, for being on the show. But I want to talk more now about how in the world did you start or think about law? Is this something that you always wanted to do? English 7. Hello. This was on her feed. All right. From England. Listen, like, share, invite. We're having a good conversation with this lady. Her name is Pia J. Miller, of course. Esquire.
Don't forget the Esquire.
So how did I get into the law? Honestly, we can blame my parents for that. No, so I was actually, yeah, absolutely. We're going to blame them. I was pre-med for my entire life. Like, I was the kid who thought I was actually going to be a neurosurgeon. And I was so much of a nerd that I don't know if you've ever seen like the anatomy textbooks, and there's coloring textbooks that you can, that's how you learn the different muscles and the different, features of human anatomy. I had like the official college coloring textbook when I was in elementary school. And so because I thought I was going to be a neurosurgeon, here I am like coloring in the pieces of the brain and all these things, and like had these taped on my wall. And then I got to college. And organic chemistry was at 7:30 in the morning on the opposite side of campus. And I was going to Orgo and, doing just fine in class. But at the same time, I was also planning to be a sociology minor. So I'm taking these sociology related classes. And I will admit, I grew up very aware of, you are a Black woman, you are, we were very pro-Black household. Like, I had Black dolls. I knew that I might be the only Black girl in my class, but like coming home, it was Black, 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 right? So I was always very aware. So I'm in these sociology classes and I'm learning all these things and how the law could be used to just effectuate change. And it was Christmas break, fly home for Christmas break. My parents had picked me up from the airport and I'm sitting in the back of my dad's truck and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. We got to save the world. We got to save the people. We got to save education in America. And we got to do all these things. And da, 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 da. Like, I am just ranting and raving because of some of the things I've learned in my sociology class. My dad, who is a retired police officer, and my mom, who is a poli-sci, former major or former professor, they're in the front seat and they're like, Pia, you sure you still want to do this whole medical school thing? Because you're sounding real lawyerish right now. And I was like, never. I don't want to do that. Why would you suggest such a thing? And I politely dismissed their suggestion, went back to school, and sat in my room one day and just got on the internet, started Googling law school and like what you could do, and found, the NAACP's Legal Defense Fund. I could save the world. LDF. I'm going to go to LDF, right? And it was downhill from there. I switched and I became pre-law and thought I was truly... Yeah. I immediately switched and, here I am. I thought, and I still believe that you can truly change a lot of the societal ills that we face, particularly here in this country. And I will always say, politics is local and everything is local. And it all comes down to what laws are passed and how you are, serving each individual person in their particular needs each day.
Wow.
That's how it happened. Yeah.
Ooh.
First of all, how about thank God that you were smart enough to make that switch? I mean, because those are the top two. You have to be smart from the beginning. Careers, right? You want to be a doctor or lawyer, but you're really kind of like probably not, right? And then you can do both. So you can do both. Come on.
Yeah. Nerd all the way around.
But you're a nerd with a personality. Like, I call myself a geek with a personality. Go ahead and announce that name for me. Is it Calvin?
Which one?
Calvin Green?
Oh, yes. Wait, there's a...
Yes. Watching again. Hi,
hey.
Calvin Green. Welcome to the show. We are talking to Pia, the attorney, Pia J. Miller, who has just explained to us that she's a brainiac. And that part. So she's an attorney, and that she is a special person in the life of BHS and Associates. This is how you get in touch with Pia. Tell us one time, Pia, how do we get in touch with you?
So my website is streaming below. It is P as in Paul, J, M as in Mary, hyphen, P as in Paul, LLC.com. That'll, of course, get you some information about me, about the firm, and I will also send you to my YouTube page where you can see some of my videos that I try to put out each week that just share little tidbits of information.
Not try.
Now, I have to ask you.
Yeah.
Can I ask you?
Yes.
So, okay, you make this transition, but fine. It can't be all roses, right?
Oh.
About some challenges that that happened to you in this switch and, after graduation.
So I'll say in college, making the switch wasn't as bad as I thought it would have been. And I think part of that is just because a lot of the classes I was already taking towards my minor were going to just overlap. And I also love psychology. I thought that I was going to maybe do some child psychiatry type of things, and fine. So college wasn't the hard part. The hard part was once I passed the bar and started working, that's where the challenges come up. I assume doctors may have similar statistics, but I've never gone down that rabbit hole. But for lawyers, we're less than 5%, we meaning Black people, Black attorneys. We're less than 5% of all the attorneys licensed, at least in the United States. For Black women, we are less than 2% of all licensed attorneys. So you are still going to find a number of law firms, government agencies, like everything in the legal arena that you would consider or you may think of as like a traditional job. They still don't have people of color as attorneys. A lot of times you will just find, yes, I can't make this up. And that's here in Virginia. That's across the country. You have prosecutors' offices that never have had Black people. You don't have a lot. And I mean, that's just for Black people. The number is even smaller for other minorities. So Asians, Latinos, Hispanics, like things of that nature. We just don't have it. And so that, of course, presents challenges. You have people that don't understand. Cultural competency is, of course, an issue. A lot of your clients that you serve are people of color, but you don't know how to talk to them. You don't understand their circumstances. If you are that one lone person of color in your entire office, that can lead to a lot of microaggressions. It can lead to a lot of macroaggressions. So I've had experiences, some of them good, some of them bad. But it's one of those things where I try to treat everything as a learning experience. And so, here we are.
I have to ask. Now, when you were working with a firm, did they funnel only Black clients to you? Regardless of, the situation?
There might have been, I'll put it to you this way. There was hey, I'm not actually going to assign you to this case because I still want to have credit for it. But I'm going to basically make you do all the work on this case. There's a lot of that happens.
Wow. I never knew that statistic. And I don't know why I'm surprised because, you look at the statistic on business ownership and the amount of capital funding that businesses of color get. And it's the same story. And yet we stand right now at the precipice of changing the face. Not that color should make a difference, but the competency. Okay. We're talking competent. Now, regardless, and I'm going in today, Shani, regardless of what platform you stand on, which Democratic, Republican, Independent, it doesn't matter which side of this fence is on. Our country is at the precipice of either choosing dictatorship or choosing freedom. That's what it boils down to for me. Now, I could be wrong about this, but I would take my chances on somebody who's prosecuted people as opposed to somebody who has a felony conviction, not one or two. I'm just saying. Don't get me on the soapbox because I'm passionate about this right now.
Yeah.
And so you coming from a prosecution background, knowing that part of the embedded bias is because the people who are prosecuting don't look like us.
Correct.
I probably get kicked off the show for this, but I'm just
I
saying.
doubt it. You right. Bring
I'm
it.
just so tired. I'm so tired of this glaze over.
Mhm.
This glaze over that this is not real, and this bias, this inherent systemic bias doesn't exist. And it's high time that, like somebody said last night, if you see something, do something. Instead of talking about it, I was that one. We really should do something. Something should really be done. You know what time it is? It's not time yet to go off the show, but it's time for you to stop playing and do something about what your mouth is saying. That's what I'm saying.
It's 1,000% correct. It's people who, part of the reason I'm no longer in prosecution, in Virginia, I can only speak for Virginia. There are a number of offices that have never hired and probably never will hire a person of color to prosecute. And that's just the simple facts. But if you look at who they are prosecuting, and we can go down that rabbit hole of, over policing in certain communities and things of that nature. But when you have prosecutors' offices that do not reflect who you're actually dealing with, it leads to all sorts of unfortunate outcomes. And at the same time, it's an overhaul of the system, because part of the challenges that I had was not just I'm dealing internally with an office that doesn't want me here because they don't think I should be here. They think I'm a DEI hire. You have external forces, i.e. you have police departments that are like, I don't think you're smart because you must be a DEI hire because I've never had a Black prosecutor before and you don't know what you're doing. You just want to let everybody off because you're a Black girl who used to be a defense attorney. And it's like, not quite. I just want the justice system to work the way that it's supposed to. And this is why we have a lot of problems and we have a lot of people who don't believe in that system. So we have issues.
It's such a hard conversation, not just because we are women of color, but because there's such a dichotomy. They're the ones who think that everything is lovely and everything is roses, and it's not. I have personal experience. My brother was brutally beaten by police in New York, and like he was inhumane, like he was not a human, like he was a dog. And these are the things that color, no pun intended, that color my vision when it comes to police. There used to be a time when I was a little girl that when I saw the police, I felt a sense of security. False security, maybe, but I felt a sense of security, like they were there to protect and serve, like it says on the side of their car. And as I've grown cognizant of world events and unsheltered by my parents, because I was a very sheltered kid. I mean, I didn't really realize there was such a thing as racism until I was probably in high school. And so, which is not, by contrast, that's not my husband's experience. But when I first started to learn that you get treated differently because your skin is a little brown, I was well into my high school years. And so when my brother got beat up, my whole police officer pedestal crumbled. And it's been that since. I mean, when you think of the Rodney Kings and, the George Floyds and all of the different ones who have innocently been killed at the hand of police, you got to wonder, what is broken? How is this going to be fixed? Will it be fixed when you have a society that still thinks that they're greater because their skin color is different? When does it stop? I mean, when do we come together and say, listen, this is not going to happen in America? When does it stop? When does it stop? And then I hate for people to throw in your face, well, Black people kill Black people. Yeah, and so do white people kill Black people. And so do white people kill white people. Why do we even have to differentiate one color against another. We're not colors. It's not, it shouldn't be this race or that race. We are the human race.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if
That's exactly it. Mm-hmm.
You slice my finger and I slice yours, they're both going to bleed red blood.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when does it stop? What do we do? I was not supposed to go off on that tangent.
Bring us back, Pia. Bring us back.
Yeah, please.
Wait, I mean, and again, all politics is local. I will die on that hill. I think a lot of it comes down to when we choose to fund the things that people actually need. We need to make sure that people have jobs. We need to make sure that children have things to do before and after school. We need to make sure that children are receiving proper education. We need to make sure that people people have food. I mean, basic necessities. When we choose to fund basic necessities, and when we choose to provide social workers and provide mental health care and provide medical care, health care, all of these things that people need, and we get down to the root causes of why people may do what they do. Sure, somebody may have stolen food from the grocery store, but let's get into why. They stole the food because they've been out of work for the last 8 months. And why were they out of work? Because their employer decided to do layoffs when their employer couldn't do X, Y, and Z. And so that person needs to still eat. Right. These are all basic things, but as long as we throw money at the wrong things, we're not going to solve basic problems, and we're going to continue to have issues. That's Pia's opinion.
Yeah, that's a right opinion.
I was going to say, that's valid.
Give us your how to contact you once again, and put it in the chat for Mark so he has it, so he can put it the right link if that's not.
Sure. So the website, www.pjm-pllc.com. From there, you can schedule consultations. You can get the contact information, the office telephone number. All of the things are there.
Yep. So we are so grateful that you're here. Shani, I know I see your brain going 1,000 miles a minute. I saw you trying to pull me back off the rail. It didn't work. I was over the cliff already. So I'm gonna let you jump in right here with questions you have for Pia.
Well, I think it's just unique that you are so passionate about social issues as well. For the average person who's probably never come into contact with a lawyer outside of, I don't know, like some slip and fall type of thing, what piece of advice would you have for people as far as like, do you need an attorney on retainer? What are your needs? What do you have for us?
I would say you don't necessarily need to have somebody on retainer, but I want you to, if you do realize that you perhaps have some legal issue, Judge Judy, Judge Mathis, all these television shows where it's like the people's court, please don't do any of that. You should really get with an attorney. I have seen a lot of situations where people, and technically, yes, you can represent yourself. That is absolutely your right to do. But keep in mind that
you do that though. I don't know well enough to do that.
Listen, people do it every day. And the difficulty is that you think that you know the law, but you don't. And unfortunately, people think that like what they see on TV is real life, and it's not. That stuff on TV is, if you read the little like fine print on those shows, technically those are mediation. They're not real courtroom case. They might be real cases, but what you're seeing on TV is not actually a trial. It's not a real hearing. It's a free for all. And so when you're actually in a real court, in a real trial, you can't do the shenanigans that you might see on TV.
Shenanigans.
So talk to an attorney. I mean, that's literally what we're here for. And if we can't help you, there are lots of, legal services of Northern or Virginia. Legal services has different offices across the state. So there's Northern Virginia, there's the Southeast Virginia one. I mean, talk to legal aid, talk to legal services. Do your research, because you are going to be your own attorney and you are expected to know the same things that we do as licensed attorneys. That would be my biggest piece of advice.
Thank you. How many different states are you licensed in?
Virginia and Maryland.
Okay. So that's you hear that, people? Virginia and Maryland.
Well, yeah. That's it.
That's it for now.
without exposing attorney-client privilege, tell us one of the most difficult cases you've ever prosecuted.
Okay, so I will say it this way. One of the things that I think is really challenging that a lot of people don't realize, particularly when you're prosecuting, a lot of the difficulties come in where you perhaps have an unwilling witness or an unwilling alleged victim, that sort of thing. And unwilling can come in a variety of, shapes and forms. And I had a situation where we had an allegation of child abuse that was occurring. And the family didn't want the government to be involved, but we still have this alleged child victim. And what I ended up learning was that the family dynamic was such that there was an uncle, the uncle had been abused by someone else, and it was literally just trickling down generation to generation. And they didn't want all of that uncovered. Mm-hmm. And so it's one of those times where it breaks your heart, but I can't force someone to get on a stand and say words. Right. I can't do those things. It's just like you may have heard the statistic, especially with our domestic violence victims. It usually takes about 7 times for them, calling the police, filing a report, things like that, for them to actually testify. And so I would tell people all the time, like, I'm here when you're ready. I'm not going to force you to do anything. Please, reach out for assistance if you need to, but I can't force you to get on the stand.
That's a whole nother show. Okay.
It is.
We're going to have you come back because that's a whole nother show. Let me tell you. Mm-hmm. Got a question out there. Our producer wants to know, how do you balance life and work knowing that you are so energetic and so passionate about your work? How do you do that? What do you do?
I don't even know. No, I try to make it a point as I've gotten older in my career. This is year 17. So I try to make it a point where when I shut down, thank you. When I shut down the laptop, I shut it down. Like if I am offline, I'm offline. I'm not looking at emails. I'm not doing those things. I'm trying to focus on friends, family, whatever I'm trying to do in my personal life. And so that's a huge boundary that I had to set, particularly with some of my clients who they just think, oh, you should be on call at midnight. No, I should not. I am definitely drooling on a pillow at midnight, but I'm not available to you at midnight. And I'm sorry if that's what you expect. If that's what you expect, I'm not the attorney for you. Please feel free to go find someone else.
I love that right there. That right there. That's the kind of attitude I like.
You have to do it.
This ain't that, and that ain't this. Go find another else.
You have to, and you have to get comfortable with saying that, because a lot of attorneys, especially younger attorneys, they fear, I'm not going to make the money. I'm not going to be able to build up the clientele. I'm not going to be seen as a good, doing a good job. But you have to take care of yourself. If you're not here, you can't do the job anyway. So get the time offline, go for a run, go for a walk. I used to tell, my baby attorneys and my interns, what are you doing for fun when you go home? And I had one who said, I love my video games, but I never really get to play. And I'm like, when you go home, you do that for 1 hour and I want to report back tomorrow. And if I have to call your living girlfriend and confirm that you did it, I'm going to do it. And so I've applied the same thing in my life. Like, you have to shut down, you got to read a book, you got to take a walk, you got to hang out with your dog. You've got to do those things so that you remind yourself that you're human.
Yeah. And speaking of your dog, what is your dog's name?
London.
London Renee?
London Renee Miller. Yes.
See, first of all, I'm not a dog person, but I'm already tickled about London Renee because
yes,
she already got personality. I'm like, listen, Linda, listen, sit over there.
She does.
And she's jumping up and she's having a lot of fun with you. So I'm glad you have her as a background. What you have to say, Miss Shani? You over there bubbling up in your brain before we get out of here.
I really don't have anything. what this conversation makes me think about is having people in certain areas in my wheelhouse.
Mhm.
So not necessarily waiting until that moment when I need an attorney, but
Mhm.
making sure I know some. So I've already vetted you in case I need you. That's it. That's kind
That's
of what
exactly the way to do it.
that's kind of really what networking and why it's so important. Because had you guys not decided that I'm going to go ahead, let me just do it. Let me just take a step out and go see who I see. Now, you ended up seeing practically the mirror, you know, both are, you know, just saying. But you got a chance to meet each other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so let's goes back to your network is your
Network.
Net worth.
Mhm.
So I'm just saying, I think it's fantastic to make sure you go out and meet attorneys, go out and meet accountants. And so you already have a certain relationship, you know, with them
Mhm.
before you need them.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it was, I would say for sure it was a divine connection because I wasn't going to go, and I didn't
Mhm.
know what this one was, and I
Mhm.
just said I'm going to just go see what, you know, what it is. I didn't know I was being compelled to go, and I was so glad I did. P and I have been on at least one other networking event together since this first initial meeting, and so I'm super excited for what the development of this relationship is going to mean. I've already invited her to Sisters Inspire Sisters to Advance, but she gonna be where? Where you gonna be, Pia?
I think, is that the September one?
October.
October? I'm in New York. Yep. Or actually, there are two trips in October, but I know I'm gone. So yeah.
So she's going to be gone for that, but would she not be a phenomenal addition to the Sisters Inspire Sisters to Advance retreat, which is coming up in October 25, 26, 27? Shani, tell us what is going on with that event.
So it's going to come off like, you know, she's involved. I'm telling you, when I tell you, you can't miss it because we have Barbara H. Smith. You already know and love her, right? Dr. Lisa Santiago McNeil, Dr. Obiama Martin, and the lovely Kemi, who's going to teach you how to think, streaming straight from Nigeria for us. Listen,
Yes.
this is one of those situations where you're going to be in rooms with people who have already done what you're trying to do, people who are trying to do what you're trying to do. It's a virtual professional think tank of sisters.
You can't miss
what else is there?
this.
You can't miss that. On the beach?
Yeah, this is going to be one for the record books. This was going to be one for the record books. And you're not this time going to be coming on this high. Oh, we did so much. It's so fantastic. It's so fabulous. And then go back to life and go, now what do? You will have a strategic plan specifically curated for you when you leave the building going back to your place. So when you go home, you have no excuse. We will be following up with you to make sure you're working on your strategic plan as well. So don't miss it. October 25th, 26th, 27th. We are going to be in Ocean City, Maryland at the Hilton Inn and Suites, where every room is a suite with a view of the water. You don't want to miss it. Let me tell you, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be so much fun. The networking by itself is phenomenal, and it's exclusive and by invitation. Only 30 ladies are invited. When we get to 30, you're on a waiting list for next year. I'm just saying. Don't miss
I'm not. I'm gonna be there next year too, so I ain't mad. Just saying.
Well, ladies, Pia, give us one more time. How do we reach out to you? And we're going to be out of here.
All right. So website, www.pjm-pllc.com. If you're on Instagram, your fave lawyer. So FAVE, favorite apparently was too long for me to do that. If you're on Facebook, Law Office of Pia J. Miller, PLLC. And, you know, just find me. I'm out there. Just if you type in my name, everything will pop up.
What a wonderful guest you have been. Thank you so much for being here. Hang out with us in the green room for a couple minutes so that you can chat with us And you guys know what time it is. I'm not wearing my watch, but I know what time it is. It's time for you to step into your greatness because the world is truly waiting for you. That's our time. We will see you next week, same time, same bat channel. We're out.
Peace. Not so bad.